Here in our app component, currently we're passing the user object down to the movies component. So our movies page knows the current user. Now let's take a look at our movies component. So movies JSX. Here we're using the movies table component. Now you can also pass the user object as a prop to this component, but that is kind of tedious and ugly. There is really no need to pass this user object down our component tree all the time, because we can always get it from our auth service. So for this exercise, we're going to get the current user from our auth service, and potentially in the future, we can come back and refactor our application so we don't have to pass this user object down the component tree all the time. Okay, now let's go to our movies table component. On the top, we need to import auth from services/auth service. Now in this component, we have this columns array. The last column here is the delete column. There are various solutions to hide this column if the user is not an admin user. One solution is to add an additional property here, like visible or hidden, that we can dynamically set, but that solution requires modifying multiple components to add support for hiding or showing columns dynamically. Another solution is to exclude this column from this array and only add it if the user is an admin user. In this case, this solution is simpler, so we only have to change this movies table component. We don't have to write a lot of extra code to add support for showing or hiding columns dynamically. So always pick the simplest solution that helps you deliver working software. Remember, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So I'm going to cut this code from here. Now we add a constructor. In this constructor, we need to get the current user. So we define this constant and set it to auth.get current user. Now, potentially in the future, we can also refactor this code. So instead of having a method here, we could have a property like current user. This way, we don't have to use parentheses and we don't have to call this get current user. But that's a different topic. You should discipline yourself to focus only on a single task at a given time. There are always ways to improve our code. We don't want to get lost in all these endless refactorings. Once again, we should deliver working software with clean code. So we get the current user. Now, if this user is truthy and is an admin, then we'll push this delete column to our columns array. So this.columns.push, and then we can paste the code that we copied. However, this implementation is messy because it has polluted our constructor. Our constructor should be very simple and clean. So to fix this problem, we can define another property, call it delete column, and set it to this object, to this delete column, right? And then in the constructor, instead of pasting this delete column, we can reference this.delete column. See, you can read this code like a newspaper. If the user is an admin, add the delete column to the columns array. The details of this are not polluting our constructor. So save the changes. Now, there's one more thing we need to add. Because we have added a custom constructor, we should also call the constructor the parent class. So save the changes back in the browser. Currently, I'm not logged in. That's why we don't see the delete column. Let me log in with a user who is an admin. Here's our delete column. Beautiful. Let me log out and log in with a user who is not an admin. So always test the edge cases. Once again, we don't see the delete column.